Hello everyone, I'm Morgan and today I wanted to do the Boujee Booktuber Tag. This tag was created by Olive at Book Olive and I've been seeing a lot of people do it and I think it's such an interesting one, so I wanted to do it as well. So the first question is, what is your average monthly budget for books? For me, as for many people, it really depends. I don't actually have a set budget. It just depends on how much money I have that month, or it did anyway, because I didn't used to have that much money to buy pretty much anything because I didn't work and I just had a scholarship, which wasn't really a lot of money, but now I actually work half time, so I get a lot more money and that way I buy a lot more books. So like, though I've been wanting to stop buying as much just because for one I just don't have the space. I actually have a bookshelf especially for TBR books and it's completely full. I have like 140 and I don't actually like that. I wish it was more closer to like 30 or less than that. So maybe that will be my challenge next year, but basically yeah, I have I can range from 0 euros to like 150. So yeah, it totally depends. But I would say my average would be like around 60, I think. I did look before, but basically yeah, it depends on the month. Sometimes there are a lot of new releases that I really want and I just keep hearing about things that I want to read, so I buy a huge amount and then I read the books, you know, and very often the more I read, the more I buy too. I don't know really why, I think everyone does this, but yeah. The second question is, what's the most you've ever spent in a bookstore? Again, like many people, I feel like the more money I spend way more money online than I do in bookstores. So like the most I spent in a bookstore is like 80 euros, I think, or a little less than that. I actually remembered it pretty well because the thing is, you will see in the next question, but I'm very particular with what edition I want of a book. For one, and for two, like I live in France, so like we do have 2 bookshops in my city that do sell books in English, but they're not like the biggest ones, so they don't have all the books and they don't necessarily have them in the edition that I want. So just going there and finding a lot of books that I want is tricky and just doesn't happen that much. I prefer going on Book Depository, for example, and just seeing all the edition that I want, or trying also eBooks for used books. Then I take the ISBN from Book Depository and search that edition and try to find it used. It's all very tricky, but yeah, the most I spent in a bookstore is like 75, I think it was 76. But online, I think I've spent like 160 something, so a lot more. Question 3 is, are you willing to pay full price for a brand new release, or will you wait until you have a coupon or there's a sale? I'm totally willing to pay full price for a book that I want. That's something on my teeth. I don't like to wait, and now I totally have the money, and even when I didn't, like the small amount of money that I had, I did spend on books, because sometimes I really want to read something and I don't want to wait. I know there are a lot of people who don't mind reading books. They're excited for even 1 year after, and in the end, I mean, even though I do buy a lot of new releases, most of the time I don't actually read them right at their release. Like, I did buy the Testaments, when it came out, like the week and the day, I had actually pre-ordered it and I still haven't read it. I mean, I do plan on it soon, but still, like, they just sit on my shelf sometimes, like Black Rebel Red Wolf. I was so excited for this one. I really wanted to get it the day of its release, and I did. And I still haven't read it. So, like, I don't know. But anyway, the question was, am I willing to pay full price? Yes. Yes, I am. But usually, yeah, it's usually authors that I know already, though. Otherwise, I try to find it used later on or try to wait for the paperback. Question 4 is, would you rather buy one new book or several used copies? I would say several used copies because I do like used books, but honestly, it would depend on the book. Because, like, if you would tell me that I could have the new David Mitchell that's going to come out in 2020, or I don't know, whatever else, other books, I would tell you that I want this one. I mean, I just do. It's just, yeah, I want the book the day of its release and I want to read it right this second. I cannot wait. It's not that I'm not patient, I am, but only when I have to be. And if I have to be, then I'm just like, fine. I know there's nothing else that I can do, then I wait. I'm like very reasonable, you know, and logical. But if I can do anything to get a book quicker, I will. Question 5 is, what do you think is a reasonable price for a new hardback book, a paperback, and an ebook? So for a hardback, well, first of all, I will say, like a lot of people, in France, so in my country, we have set prices for books. So like wherever you go, the prices are all the same. And that was done for booksellers. Because otherwise it would be like in the US, you would have places where the books are extremely cheap because they have the means to do that. And then you would have small bookshops that sell new books at a very high price. And though these people don't actually sell books, and a lot of bookshops, actually close. So to spare us this, in France, they created this law that puts set prices on books. So you can never get any sale anywhere in France. And that way, every bookseller can sell the book at the same price wherever you go. It's good and it's bad. I wish there were sales, but at the same time, it's a valid opinion, you know, that booksellers should be able to live wherever they are. So, like, yeah. But I will say the reasonable price, well, right now the price for a hardback book in France is about 25 euros. For the ones in the US anyway. The books in English. But for our books, usually we don't actually get that many hardbacks, even in English, because we're very close to the UK. And in the UK, they come out with huge paperbacks. They're way bigger. Like, I don't know if I have an example somewhere. Do I? No, I really don't have a lot of them. But because I don't like big paperbacks, because more often than not, they're like hard paperbacks, you know, they're not floppy or anything. So it's just really annoying. So I prefer hardbacks actually to these ones. But yeah, they sell hardbacks at like 25 euros. And I would say the reasonable price would be like 20. I mean, that's fair because a hardback book is, I don't know, bigger and does take more money to make, a little more, as I have learned from watching these videos. But other than that, yeah, for paperbacks, I would say it's between 10 or 50 euros, I think is reasonable. And that's often the price, but sometimes it's a little bit more in France, and I'm kind of mad about that. And ebooks, like a lot of people, I think ebooks should be much cheaper. And I will actually confess to something. I download a lot of pirated ebooks, but I only download books that I don't care enough to buy. And if I do end up enjoying a book, I buy the physical formats after. So like I'm kind of honest with myself a bit, but yeah, basically I think they should be much cheaper because you don't actually get a book. I mean, you cannot share it. Like they're actually, it's closed originally. Like the eBooks that I download, obviously I pirated, so you can send it to whoever you want, but normally you cannot do that legally. And another, like an example of an author that I have all of his books pirated is Stephen King. I think he really has enough money with all the books that he sells, honestly, and that it's not going to cost him that much if I download his books without paying. And I do own some of them, and plus the thing is, I don't actually love every single one of his books. So if I had to buy each one and then not end up enjoying a lot of them, I would be really mad because I don't like to keep books that I don't like. So it's better this way if I just read them on ebook, and if I like them, I buy them, you know? And yeah, I don't know. Confession time. 6. Is a signed book worth more to you? How about a first edition? A signed book, maybe, if it's like signed to me specifically, like if I met the author and they signed something to me. Like very soon, Samantha Shannon, the author of The Bone Season and The Diary of the Orange Tree, is coming to my city, and I'm like over the moon, and I think I'm going to be able to be there because like I worked that day, but I think I'm going to try to work out something. But if I can meet her and get my book signed, like I will be the happiest person ever because I love her books so much, and just, I don't know, I will see her. And like actually a lot of my favorite authors I don't actually want to meet, like Bret Easton Ellis, he actually came to my city as well earlier this year, and I didn't actually want to meet him because he's like a very cynical man, and that is part of the reason why I like his books, but I also don't think he would be the kind of person that I would like, and so I didn't actually want to meet it. But Samantha Shannon, I think she seems lovely, and she's just a few years older than me, which is kind of infuriating in a way because I'm like, what have I done with my life compared to her? But then again, I think it would be really nice, and I really hope I'm going to be able to see her and get my book signed, and this book will be everything to me, The Bone Season. I only have the first book actually because I have a problem with this. I wanted the first editions that were made, but the third book is almost impossible to find in that edition. It's not sold anywhere anymore, unless you go to eBooks and pay more than 150 euros for one book, which I'm not prepared to do. So yeah. But the first edition, maybe if I had like a lot of money, I would buy first editions of some older books and like keep them as a collection, like really more the item than the book itself. Like I wouldn't read it because I actually get sick from reading old books. Like the smell makes me sick, so I couldn't do that. But I would like it as an object. 7. What is your most valuable book, sentimental or actual value? Well, I don't actually have books that have very sentimental value because I didn't used to own books when I was a kid because we just didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't care that much about the books that I read. I just read everything that I could find, and I took all of my books from the library, and I was very, very happy with it, mostly. Some books I did want to buy from because the library didn't have everything, and just, yeah, some books I did want to own, but I didn't own a lot of them. And now that I read in English, and it's a thing about me, I love original versions so much more than translated books. I can't do it. I get why it's important to translate books because not everyone can read every single language, but then again, it's so much better if you can read it in the original version, because even the best translator will not translate every single emotion and every single, I don't know, connotation. I mean, it's not going to be the same, really. So since I've started reading books in English mostly, in the original version, I hate all of the translated books that I had from English. So I got rid of every single one of them because I just didn't want to look at them. They annoy me. And yeah, so I don't have sentimental books, but I do have one book that is quite valuable, price money. And that book is The Complete Tales of Edgar Allan Poe. This is the leather-bound edition of, what does it come from? Barnes & Noble, I think. It's very gorgeous. I mean, it's not extremely expensive, but it's quite expensive still. And when it's in leather, and like the pages are so beautiful like this, and I don't know, it's just so pretty. It's terrible because I haven't read it yet, but the thing is, I always want to start this one, but you only have one bookmark for both poems and short stories, and I wish I had two so that I could read sometimes a poem and sometimes a short story. And I know I could just use a normal bookmark, but it wouldn't be the same, so I don't know. But I will read this someday, and it's very, very pretty to have in my collection. 8 is, will you pay more for a cover or an edition you like better? Yes, we've already established that. I do that pretty much all the time. I'm so driven by aesthetic, like in every single area of my life, like in clothes, on the books, everywhere. If I have two books, I mean, it does depend on the content, but if I have two books that are very interesting and one has an amazing cover and the other is ugly, I'm going to read the one that has a beautiful cover. I just am. And now that I have an e-reader, when I really hate the cover, I don't buy the physical book anymore. I buy the ebook because I don't want to see it. I mean, why make ugly covers? I don't understand. I know a lot of people say that it's the story that matters and everything, but why? I mean, the books that I buy, I actually want to keep forever if I like them. And I don't want to keep an ugly thing in front of my face forever, you know? So yeah, I look at all the editions all the time, and I pick the one that I like the most, and I try to find it. And sometimes it's like a real struggle to do that, but I manage. 9 is, what physical quality does a good quality book have? It needs to be floppy, for one. Like, I love floppy books. I want paperbacks, and I actually like very thin, like Bible pages. I know a lot of people don't, but I love those, and I think they're actually really good quality and that they age very well. And yeah, I don't know, I like a cover like this. So this is like, I mean, not cardboard, but you know, I don't know what's it called in English, carton. But yeah, it's very it's very floppy, but not too much. Like, you can still hold it very well, and I don't know, the paper is really good, and it's easy to turn the pages. And that's just the kind of thing that I like in books, physically. 10. If you won the lottery, what bookish things would you do with the money? So for one, I would buy a new house. Well, a house, because I don't actually own any. And I would, of course, have a space for a library. And I would want specific bookshelves. I would want handmade bookshelves, specifically made. I don't remember the term anymore. I have actually seen some bookshelves that I would want in an ad for people who make bookshelves, you know, and I saw this wood that was painted on with, it was kind of a green gray color, and I love that so much. It was so beautiful, so I would want that. And I would make a huge room, so a library with a lot of cushions and places to sit in, and I would make a place also to get tea and maybe coffee, but I don't know if I'm nice to people because I don't like coffee, so maybe I would, but so that other people could come, but mostly it would have tea, some place to get tea so that you can charge up before you continue reading. I would have amazing places to sit, and just if it could have also a lot of windows because I love light, and yeah, I don't know, basically that. That would be really nice. That's what I would do with money. And the bonus question is, give us an image, actual mentor of your dream home library. That's basically what I just said. Like a big library, a place. It would be really big because I would like to have, I don't know, a lot of books. And I mean, just the books that I like though. Like not every single book that I read. Because I said I only keep books that I love. Otherwise they can go. I don't mind. But yeah, it would be really cool. Anyway, that is all for me. I hope this video is not going to be too long, but I think it will be. I hope you enjoyed this. Please tell me if any of your answers to these questions, or if you have done this tag so that I can go watch it because I love it so much. But yeah, I hope you like this, and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye! Dream I know, deep up my feelings.